What if I told you that at 4,000 meters altitude, where oxygen levels drop to half, an ancient civilization achieved the impossible? What if this civilization developed technologies that even modern engineers cannot explain? NASA studies Bolivia to search for life on Mars, because conditions here are so similar to Mars that scientists call this place Mars on Earth. But here's the most astonishing part. On these Mars-like lands, people who lived thousands of years ago accomplished feats that still cannot be replicated today. They built floating islands at 3,700 meters altitude. They placed 200-ton stone blocks with millimetric precision. And most incredibly, they discovered and extracted the world's largest silver reserves. This is Bolivia, the mysterious civilization on the roof of the world. Here, every step holds a secret. Every stone tells a story. Today, I'll reveal this country's deepest secrets, its most incredible engineering marvels and mysteries that modern science still cannot solve. Get ready, because these stories will completely change what you know about Bolivia. Because once you discover what's hidden in the Andes, you'll never look at human capability the same way again. Lake Titicaca, at 3,812 meters altitude, the world's highest navigable lake. But this place's real secret isn't hidden in its height, it's on its surface. The Uros people have been living on floating islands in this lake for 500 years. But these aren't ordinary islands. Each one is completely constructed from totora reeds, living, breathing structures. Here's where the miracle begins. How don't these islands sink? Modern engineering calls this layered flotation system. The Uros people have been doing this for 500 years without any engineering education. Totora reed roots form a giant network underwater. Reed layers are placed on top of this network. Each layer is positioned at right angles to the previous one. The result? Perfect stability and carrying capacity. A floating island can carry 10 families, houses, barns, even schools can be built. And most amazingly, the island can be moved when needed. If wind direction changes, the island can be drifted to a different area. But there's a deeper story behind this technology. Why did the Uros people build these islands? According to traditional narrative, to escape from the powerful Inca Empire. But recent archaeological findings reveal a completely different story. These floating islands were actually part of an ancient trade network. Lake Titicaca was the critical passage connecting both sides of the Andes Mountains. Uros Islands were mobile trading stations over this passage. Think about it. 500 years ago, no GPS, no maps. But the Uros people could navigate this giant lake with centimeter precision. How? The answer is hidden at the bottom of the lake. Recent radar research discovered stone roads at the lake bottom. These roads marked the routes that the islands followed. So the Uros people navigated by reading underwater markers. This is one of the most sophisticated navigation systems in maritime history. And it was developed 500 years ago at the peak of the Andes Mountains. What makes this navigation system even more remarkable is its integration with natural phenomena. The Uros people learned to read wind patterns, water temperature changes, and even the behavior of lake birds to predict weather conditions days in advance. Recent studies using underwater archaeology have revealed that these stone roads aren't just navigation aids. They're a complex infrastructure system. The roads connect underwater storage areas, freshwater springs, and what appear to be ancient harbors now submerged beneath the lake. The most intriguing discovery is evidence of pre-Columbian engineering that rivals Roman aqueduct systems. Underwater channels carved into the lake bed directed fresh water from mountain springs to specific locations where the floating islands could access it. This system ensured that the Uros people always had access to clean drinking water, even while living on a saltwater lake. Carbon dating of organic materials found along these underwater roads suggests this system is far older than previously thought, possibly dating back over 1,000 years. This means the Uros' floating island civilization may be one of the oldest continuously operating maritime cultures in the Americas. The implications are staggering. This wasn't just a refuge culture hiding from the Incas. This was a sophisticated civilization that controlled one of the most important trade routes in pre-Columbian South America. At 4,000 meters altitude, where oxygen levels are half of normal, a miracle stands. Tiwanaku. This ancient city is one of modern archaeology's greatest mysteries, because the technology used here theoretically shouldn't have existed at that time. 200-ton stone blocks transported from 300 kilometers away. How? We don't know. These blocks are placed with such precision that not even a knife blade can fit between them. Even with modern construction technology, achieving this precision is difficult. But the real miracle lies in the cutting of the stones. The surfaces of stone blocks found at Tiwanaku are microscopically flat. This level of smoothness is only possible with modern machine tools. So how did the Tiwanaku people achieve this precision 1,500 years ago? Recent research reveals a shocking answer: acoustic technology. Tiwanaku stones are vibrated at specific frequencies. These vibrations affect the stone's crystal structure, achieving microscopic level smoothness. This technology is still in experimental stages today. But Tiwanaku's real secret lies in the gateway of the sun. This ancient structure is also a giant calendar. It calculates seasons, lunar cycles, and even eclipses based on the sun's position. Its precision is nearly identical to modern astronomical calculations. But the most astonishing feature is the gateway's time-stopping effect. People standing in front of the gateway of the sun experience changes in time perception. Minutes pass like hours. Hours pass like minutes. This phenomenon cannot be scientifically explained. Local people call this the breath of the stone gods. According to them, the gateway serves as a portal between different time dimensions. Modern physics calls this gravitational time effect, but cannot explain it, because no gravitational anomaly strong enough to create such time effects has been detected. Another mystery of Tiwanaku: water channels. Water channels extending throughout the city don't just carry water, they also transmit sound and vibration. Through these channels, messages can be sent from any point in the city to any other point. This is the most advanced communication network of ancient times, and how it works still hasn't been fully understood. What makes the Tiwanaku mystery even more compelling is the recent discovery of what appears to be a sophisticated acoustic engineering system throughout the entire complex. Ground-penetrating radar has revealed underground chambers positioned at precise intervals that seem designed to amplify and direct sound waves. These chambers are connected by the water channel system, creating what acoustics experts describe as a pre-Columbian sound internet. Voice messages spoken into specific locations could be transmitted clearly across the entire complex while maintaining privacy through frequency-specific transmission. Even more intriguingly, the stone blocks themselves appear to have been selected and positioned based on their acoustic properties. Different types of stone create different resonant frequencies when struck, and the arrangement of these stones throughout Tiwanaku creates what can only be described as a giant musical instrument. Recent experiments have shown that when specific stones are struck in sequence, the resulting acoustic pattern can induce altered states of consciousness in listeners. This suggests that Tiwanaku wasn't just a city. It was a massive ceremonial complex designed to create specific psychological and spiritual experiences through sound technology. The precision required for this acoustic engineering surpasses anything achieved by ancient civilizations anywhere else in the world. It demonstrates a level of scientific understanding that challenges our assumptions about the capabilities of pre-Columbian peoples. This Spanish expression is still used today, because in the 16th century, Potosí was the richest city in the world. Silver extracted from Cerro Rico Mountain shaped the global economy. But this place's story goes much deeper than wealth. Silver extracted from Cerro Rico changed the course of world history. The Spanish Navy was financed with this silver. Europe's industrialization was based on this silver's trade. Even China's Ming Dynasty became dependent on this silver. How can one mountain affect the entire world economy? Cerro Rico's formation is a geological miracle. This mountain formed 13 million years ago as a result of volcanic activity, has the world's most concentrated silver veins. But silver isn't just on the surface. The mountain's interior is literally a silver labyrinth. As a result of 500 years of mining activity, 5,000 kilometers of tunnels have been dug inside Cerro Rico. These tunnels form such an extensive network that it's possible to get lost inside the mountain. And in some of these tunnels, unexplained phenomena occur. Miners speak of an entity called El Tío, the uncle. This entity lives in the deepest parts of the mine tunnels and communicates with miners. Some miners find rich silver veins thanks to signs they receive from El Tío. Is this just superstition? Recent geophysical research has detected abnormal magnetic fields in the mountain's depths. The source points of these fields coincide with places where miners have seen El Tío. Science cannot yet explain these anomalies, but miners have been finding silver with this guidance for 500 years. Another secret of Potosí, the Royal Mint. Silver coins minted in this building were the world's first global currency. They were valid everywhere from America to Asia, Europe to Africa. But the production technology of these coins was very advanced for its time. The weight and purity ratio of the coins met modern standards. How was this precision achieved? The answer lies in the mint building's acoustics. The building was designed so that the sound of the coin minting machine echoed throughout the building. This echo was used to control the machine's working precision. So 400 years ago, quality control was done using sound technology. What makes the Potosí phenomenon even more extraordinary is the scale of its global impact. Economic historians estimate that silver from Cerro Rico constituted over 60% of global silver production for more than 2 centuries. This silver literally became the foundation of the first global economy. The technological achievements at Potosí were equally remarkable. The Spanish developed hydraulic systems to power crushing mills that could process tons of ore daily. These systems used principles of fluid dynamics that wouldn't be formally understood by European science for another century. But perhaps most remarkably, the indigenous workforce developed their own innovations within the Spanish system. Native miners created tools and techniques specifically adapted to Cerro Rico's unique geology. They developed early forms of ventilation systems that allowed work at depths that would have been impossible otherwise. The mysterious El Tío phenomenon may have a scientific basis beyond magnetic anomalies. Recent studies suggest that certain areas of the mountain contain unusual electromagnetic properties that could affect human perception and decision-making. Miners who report guidance from El Tío often find silver in locations that, from a geological perspective, shouldn't contain significant deposits. This raises the possibility that the indigenous miners developed an intuitive understanding of the mountain's electromagnetic signature that allowed them to locate ore deposits using sensory capabilities that modern mining technology is only beginning to understand. 10,582 square kilometers, the world's largest salt desert, Salar de Uyuni. At first glance, it just looks like salt. But this white expanse harbors one of our planet's greatest secrets. Salar de Uyuni is actually a giant mirror. When covered with a thin layer of water during rainy season, it creates perfect reflection. The boundary between sky and earth disappears. This sight is so surreal that NASA even uses it for satellite calibration. But this mirror effect isn't just visual. It also creates strange psychological effects. People walking on Salar often experience reality loss. They lose their sense of direction. They perceive time differently. Some mistake their own reflections for other people. This phenomenon is scientifically explained as sensory deprivation, but the effect on Salar is much stronger. The local Aymara people call this condition dance of the salt spirits. According to them, Salar is a passage between spiritual dimensions. Modern research reveals findings that support this superstition. Salt crystals in Salar vibrate at specific frequencies. These vibrations affect the electrical activity of the human brain. Result: altered states of consciousness. But Salar's real value isn't in salt. It's hidden underneath. Beneath Salar de Uyuni lies lithium reserves that could meet 70% of the world's needs. Lithium is the heart of electric vehicles and smartphones. This reserve could make Bolivia one of the world's richest countries. But lithium extraction will disrupt Salar's natural balance. This giant mirror will never be the same again. Another mystery in Salar, Incahuasi Island. This island is actually the peak of an ancient volcano. 40,000 years ago, when the region was a giant lake, the volcano remained underwater. When the lake dried up, the volcano peak remained like an island. The island has 1,200-year-old giant cacti. These cacti grow only 1 centimeter per year. So the largest ones are 12 meters tall and 1,200 years old. But these cacti's secret isn't in their age. It's hidden inside them. The cacti trunks contain unknown chemical compounds. These compounds create powerful hallucinogenic effects. Aymara shamans use these cacti for soul journeys. Modern pharmacology is studying these compounds. Some show promise in treating depression and PTSD. What makes Salar de Uyuni truly extraordinary is its role as a geological time machine. The salt layers preserve a detailed record of climate changes spanning thousands of years. Each layer contains information about rainfall patterns, temperature fluctuations, and even volcanic activity from across the Andes. Recent deep drilling projects have extracted core samples that reveal the region's environmental history with unprecedented detail. These samples show that the area has experienced dramatic transformations, from lush forests to arid desert to massive lakes and back again. The lithium deposits beneath the salt aren't just valuable for batteries, they're also crucial for understanding plate tectonics. The unusual concentration of lithium suggests unique geological processes that occurred during the formation of the Andes Mountains. Perhaps most intriguingly, satellite analysis has revealed that Salar de Uyuni's surface isn't perfectly flat as it appears. There are subtle undulations that follow patterns suggesting underground water flows and possibly even tectonic activity that could affect lithium extraction operations. The psychological effects experienced on Salar may have multiple causes beyond sensory deprivation. The high altitude, intense solar radiation, and unique electromagnetic properties of the salt deposits create a combination of environmental factors that can significantly alter human consciousness and perception. La Paz. At 3,500 to 4,100 meters altitude, the world's highest capital city. Living at this altitude is almost impossible. Oxygen level is 60% of sea level. Heart and lungs are constantly strained. But 2 million people live here. How is it possible? The answer lies in 40,000 years of adaptation. The indigenous people of La Paz have genetic changes. Their lungs are 40% larger. Their hearts are 25% stronger. Red blood cell count in their blood is twice that of normal people. This is a living example of human evolution. But La Paz's real miracle lies in city planning. The city is built in the natural valley of the Andes Mountains. But this valley wasn't chosen randomly. The ancient Aymara people designed this place as a solar energy collection basin. The valley's shape and orientation focuses sunlight. Result: relatively warm climate despite 4,000 meters altitude. But this design isn't just climatic, it's psychological. People living in La Paz experience altitude euphoria. The mild oxygen deficiency caused by high altitude creates a natural antidepressant effect. Research shows that depression rates among La Paz residents are half the world average. La Paz's most mysterious place, the Witch's Market. Traditional medicines, magical materials, and ritual items are sold in this market. But the market's real power lies in Andean culture's healing tradition. Yatiras, traditional healers, treat diseases with plant combinations. These combinations are the product of 3,000 years of experience. Modern medicine is studying these plant combinations. Some show promise in cancer, Alzheimer, and heart diseases. But Yatira's power isn't just herbal. They also perform psychological therapy. They find sources of stress through deep conversations with patients. This is the 3,000-year-old version of modern psychotherapy. What makes La Paz truly remarkable is how its urban design works with natural forces rather than against them. The city's layout follows ancient Aymara principles that maximize solar gain during the day while providing protection from harsh winds. The terraced architecture that characterizes La Paz isn't just aesthetic, it's functional. Each level of the city creates microclimates that serve different purposes. Higher elevations are reserved for residential areas that benefit from maximum sunlight, while lower areas house markets and workshops that require protection from wind. Recent urban planning studies have shown that La Paz's traditional architecture is more energy efficient than modern buildings designed for high-altitude conditions. Adobe construction with thick walls provides excellent insulation, while the compact building design minimizes heat loss. The genetic adaptations of La Paz residents extend beyond just cardiovascular changes. Their metabolisms operate differently, requiring fewer calories to maintain body heat. Their sleep patterns have adapted to the extreme daily temperature variations common at high altitude. Perhaps most remarkably, children born and raised in La Paz develop enhanced cognitive abilities related to spatial reasoning and memory. Scientists believe this is an adaptation to the challenging navigation required in the city's complex three-dimensional layout. The Witch's Market represents more than just traditional medicine. It's a living pharmacy that preserves knowledge about hundreds of medicinal plants that grow only at high altitude. Many of these plants contain compounds that are now being studied for potential pharmaceutical applications. 10 kilometers outside La Paz, there's another planet, Valle de la Luna. In 1969, Neil Armstrong visited this place. After returning from the moon, he said it was the place most similar to the lunar surface. But Valle de la Luna isn't just visual similarity. Geologically, it also resembles the moon. Rock formations here were shaped by millions of years of erosion. But the erosion pattern resembles meteor impact craters on the moon. Is this coincidence? Meteor impact influenced Valle de la Luna's formation. 65 million years ago, the meteor that destroyed dinosaurs also had effects here. Shock waves from the meteor impact cracked and bent rock layers. Result: space-like landscape. But Valle de la Luna's real mystery lies in its acoustic properties. Rock formations in the valley reflect sound waves strangely. A sound whispered at one end of the valley can be heard clearly at the other end. But someone standing in the middle hears nothing. How does this acoustic illusion work? The mineral structure of rock layers amplifies sounds at specific frequencies. It absorbs other frequencies. Result: selective sound transmission. The Aymara people have known this feature for thousands of years. They use Valle for secret communication. Modern signal processing technology studies Valle de la Luna's acoustic principles. These principles could be used in future communication technologies. Another phenomenon in Valle, time distortion. Time spent in the valley is perceived differently from real time. When you think you've spent 1 hour, 3 to 4 hours have actually passed. This effect is related to the valley's magnetic field. Magnetic minerals deep in the earth affect the human brain's time perception. NASA studies this phenomenon for space travel because time perception problems occur during long-term space missions. What makes Valle de la Luna even more extraordinary is its role as a natural laboratory for understanding erosion processes that occur on other planets. The patterns of erosion here mirror processes that scientists observe on Mars and other rocky planets. Recent geological surveys have revealed that the valley's formation involved not just erosion, but also unique chemical processes. The combination of high altitude, intense solar radiation, and specific mineral content created weathering patterns that don't occur anywhere else on Earth. The acoustic properties of Valle de la Luna may be even more sophisticated than initially thought. Advanced sound mapping has revealed that the valley acts like a giant acoustic lens, focusing sound waves in ways that could theoretically be used for long-distance communication without electronic amplification. The time distortion effects reported by visitors have been partially validated by controlled experiments. People wearing synchronized watches have consistently reported temporal experiences that don't match elapsed time, suggesting that the phenomenon is real rather than merely psychological. Indigenous traditions speak of Valle de la Luna as a place where shamans came to receive visions and communicate with spirits. Modern research into altered states of consciousness suggests that the valley's unique combination of altitude, electromagnetic fields, and acoustic properties creates conditions that can naturally induce expanded awareness. Bolivia's most hidden treasure, Madidi National Park. This park is one of the world's richest biodiversity centers. In 19,000 square kilometers, 7% of the planet's biodiversity lives. This isn't just a park, it's a living laboratory. New species are discovered in Madidi every year. In 2019, 20 new plant species, 12 new insect species, 3 new frog species were found. But the park's real mystery lies in the interspecies communication network. Plants and animals in Madidi have formed a complex communication network. Trees communicate with chemical signals. Animals read these signals and determine their behavior. How does this forest internet work? Tree roots form symbiotic relationships with fungi. Fungi serve as information and nutrient carriers between trees. When a tree is attacked, the entire forest receives this information and takes defensive measures. This system is faster and more reliable than the modern internet. Madidi's most mysterious resident, jaguar. These big cats establish a shadow kingdom in the forest. Each jaguar has its own territory. These territories are so organized that jaguars can hunt without conflicting with each other. How can they be so organized? Jaguars establish a complex message system with scent markers. These messages aren't just territory marking. They contain information about prey status, breeding time, even weather forecasts. Modern GPS technology tracks jaguars' movements. The data is surprising. Jaguars' routes are mathematically precise. Indigenous peoples living in Madidi, Tsiman, and Mosatin can read this forest internet. They can understand weather from plants' color changes, earthquake danger from animal sounds, flood risk from tree root conditions. This knowledge is the product of 10,000 years of experience. Even modern meteorology cannot achieve this precision. What makes Madidi truly exceptional is its role as an evolutionary laboratory where new species are actively emerging. The park's location at the intersection of the Andes and Amazon creates unique ecological niches that drive rapid speciation. Recent genetic studies have revealed that some plant and animal populations in Madidi are evolving so rapidly that they're developing distinct characteristics within just a few generations. This real-time evolution provides scientists with unprecedented opportunities to study how new species form. The mycorrhizal networks connecting trees in Madidi are more complex than any forest system previously studied. These fungal networks don't just share nutrients, they transmit complex chemical information that allows trees to coordinate responses to threats, share resources during droughts, and even warn each other about insect attacks. Jaguar behavior in Madidi demonstrates intelligence that approaches human-level problem-solving. GPS tracking has revealed that jaguars modify their hunting routes based on seasonal prey movements, avoid areas where humans are present, and even coordinate their activities with other jaguars to maximize hunting success. The indigenous knowledge systems developed in Madidi represent perhaps the most sophisticated understanding of forest ecology anywhere in the world. Shamans can predict weather patterns weeks in advance, identify medicinal plants for specific ailments, and navigate through seemingly trackless forest using subtle environmental cues. Bolivia today faces critical threat, and this threat has the potential to destroy all these unique treasures. Climate change is melting the glaciers of the Andes Mountains. In the last 30 years, glacier mass has decreased by 30%. This isn't just statistics, it's a matter of survival. Lake Titicaca's water level is dropping. Uro's islands are grounding. Floating civilization faces extinction risk. Salar de Uyuni's salt balance is being disrupted. Increasing temperature makes lithium extraction difficult. The world's most valuable mineral reserve is in danger. Species in Madidi are migrating north. Forest biodiversity has decreased by 20%. Most tragic impact, loss of traditional knowledge. Elderly yatiras are passing away. With them, 3,000 years of healing knowledge is disappearing. Young generation is migrating to cities. Ancestral knowledge is being cut off. But there is hope. The Bolivian government has launched the Living Heritage Project. Traditional knowledge from elderly masters is being recorded. Workshops and education are given to youth. International protection projects have been activated. Special protection fund established for Titicaca. UNESCO World Heritage application made for Madidi. Most importantly, indigenous peoples' rights have been recognized. They are now official protectors of their own lands. Climate data shows that Bolivia is experiencing some of the most rapid environmental changes anywhere in South America. Temperature increases at high altitude are occurring twice as fast as global averages, creating unprecedented stress on ecosystems that evolved over millennia. The melting of Andean glaciers threatens not just Bolivia but the entire Amazon basin. These glaciers provide crucial dry season water flow for rivers that eventually feed the Amazon. Without this water source, vast areas of rainforest could transform into savanna. Traditional knowledge systems face a crisis of transmission. Many indigenous communities have lost their native languages as young people move to cities for education and employment. With language loss comes the disappearance of ecological knowledge that took thousands of years to develop. However, innovative conservation approaches are emerging. Scientists are working with indigenous communities to document traditional ecological knowledge using modern technology. GPS mapping combined with indigenous landscape knowledge is creating detailed environmental databases. International climate research has identified Bolivia as a crucial location for understanding how mountain ecosystems respond to rapid environmental change. The country's extreme altitude gradients provide natural laboratories for studying species adaptation and migration. The most promising development is the recognition of indigenous land rights and traditional management systems. Research consistently shows that indigenous managed lands have better conservation outcomes than government-protected areas. Bolivia teaches us a very important lesson. When human intelligence and natural resources come together, miracles can be created. Building floating islands at 4,000 meters altitude, placing 200-ton stone blocks with millimetric precision, discovering mineral reserves that would change the world economy. All of these happened in Bolivia. Without modern technology, with ancient knowledge, this country is proof of how creative human civilization can be. It's also evidence that living in harmony with nature is possible. But Bolivia's greatest treasure isn't mineral, it's cultural heritage. Thousands of years of accumulated knowledge, traditional healing, living in harmony with nature, social solidarity. These values are important not just for Bolivia, but for all humanity, because they are the key to a sustainable future. In the face of climate crisis, Bolivia's traditional knowledge becomes even more valuable. High-altitude agriculture, water management, sustainable mining. There's 3,000 years of experience in these areas. The modern world can learn from this knowledge. By combining technology with traditional knowledge, we can produce solutions that are both advanced and sustainable. Bolivia's stories show us this. Nothing is impossible. There are just paths we haven't discovered yet. Building civilization at 4,000 meters altitude was impossible, but it was built. Constructing floating islands was impossible, but they were constructed. City life on the roof of the world was impossible, but it was lived. Every inch of this country's soil is a triumph of human will and creativity. But Bolivia's lessons extend far beyond its borders. In an era of climate change and environmental crisis, this country demonstrates that human societies can adapt to extreme conditions while maintaining cultural identity and social cohesion. The engineering achievements of ancient Bolivia weren't just impressive for their time. They offer practical solutions for modern challenges. Techniques developed for high-altitude agriculture could help feed growing populations in mountainous regions worldwide. Water management systems developed for arid conditions could be adapted for areas facing drought. Perhaps most importantly, Bolivia shows us that sustainability isn't just about technology. It's about relationship. The indigenous peoples of Bolivia developed their remarkable civilizations not by conquering nature, but by learning to work with it. If these stories have moved you, it's time to take action. You can support Bolivia's cultural heritage preservation projects. You can promote sustainable tourism. Or you can simply tell people around you about this unique country. Because awareness is the first step of protection. Write to us in the comments. Which part of Bolivia surprised you most? Would you like to visit this mysterious country? Which ancient technology made you most curious? And remember, our world still has Bolivias waiting to be discovered. Finding and protecting them is all our responsibility. Until our next adventure.